Hey everyone, welcome back. So in this tutorial, we are going to start off with our project that is the product management system. Now in this video, I'll just give you a quick overview of what our project or application is going to do. So let me show you the functionalities which our application is going to provide. So we are going to have a basic login logout functionality which will be using session. Then we'll have view products, then add product, edit product, delete product, and finally search product. So this pretty much covers all the CRUD operations, that is create, read, update, and delete, right? Now let me show you the project structure. So I've already created the project over here, which is product management system. And now under the SRC folder, I've created 3 packages. First one is DAO, which stands for data access object. So this DAO package will contain all the DAO related classes. Okay, in this case, it is login DAO and product management DAO. Then we have dbutil package. Now this package will contain only one class, and that is dbutil. So we've already used this class in our previous tutorials. Okay. Then we have our Pojo package. So this package stands for plain old Java object. So it will contain all our Pojo classes which are supposed to hold data from our database, right? And then we are going to have our JSP pages. Okay. And again, over here, we are having a CSS file. So all our style classes will be inside this style.css. And in future, if required, we may also add a JavaScript file over here, okay, which will be used for basic validation and stuff like that, right? So this is the project structure. Now let me show you the database tables which I've created. So I've created 2 database tables. One is login info, which will contain all login related details. So login info table contains 2 columns, username and password. So this username and password, we're going to use it while logging in to our system, right? And then we have our product table, which is having 4 columns: prod ID, prod name, prod category, and prod price. Let me also show you the SQL statements which I have executed. Okay, so this is for our login table and this is for our product table. Okay, so you can just take a note of it, right? So yeah, that's it guys. Thank you for watching. We'll continue this from the next tutorial. Hey everyone, welcome back. So from this tutorial onwards, we are going to look at the code of our product management application. Now I've already done all the coding of our application, but I'll explain you everything line by line. Okay, so don't worry about it. And I'll also attach the source code of this entire project along with this course, so you can refer the code from there, right? So let's get started. Now we'll start off with the login functionality first. So let's look at the login Pojo class, which is login info. Now let me show you the database table for login info first. So as you can see, it is having 2 fields or 2 columns, username and password. And that's why I've created 2 fields over here. One is for username and the other one is for password. Then I've created a default constructor, then a parameterized constructor, then the getter and setter methods for username and password, and finally a toString method, which is just printing the values, right? So this is our login Pojo class. Then let's look at login DAO. Now our login DAO class is having one method, which is user valid. Now this method returns a variable of type boolean and it takes one parameter which is of type login info. So these are the user details which the user will enter on the login form. Okay. Now inside the body, I'm first declaring a variable. I'm creating a variable and assigning it a value which is false. Okay, so it is a boolean variable valid status. Then I've created a try catch block. Now inside the try block, I'm first creating a connection, then I'm creating a statement, then I'm creating a result set object. Okay, and I'm passing a query to it, and the query says select star from login info where username is equal to user details.get username. So this is the same username which the user will enter in the login form, and password is equal to user details.get password. Again, the password which the user will enter, right? Now you need to be careful over here with the quotes. So just observe what I'm doing over here. I'm saying username is equal to, then there is a single quote, and then there is a double quote, and then I'm appending this string, and then again I'm closing this double quote, and then again a single quote. So you need to be careful while writing this. Okay, there are chances that you may make a mistake over here. Okay, yeah. So this is our result set object, and then I'm iterating over that result set. So I'm saying while rs.next valid status is equal to true. Now this means that if such a record exists in the database, then it is a valid record, right? And that's why I'm saying valid status is equal to true. And finally, I'm closing the connection, and then I'm writing a catch block, and inside the catch I'm just printing the stack trace, right? Yeah. And finally, I'm returning this Boolean variable. Okay, so this is our isUserValid method. Now again, I'll just revise what I said over here. So if this particular record exists in a database, then it means that it is a valid record, and it means that the username and password which the user has entered matches with the username and password in the database. Okay, and that's why we can just straight away say valid status is equal to true, right? So yeah, that's it guys. This was our login DAO. Now let's move on to our JSP page. So we are going to write a login.jsp page over here. So here is the login.jsp. Now I'm starting with a div tag, and I'm aligning it to center. Then I'm creating a form, and in its action I'm writing a JSP page. We'll look at this later. Okay, this process login.jsp. So just forget it for now. Okay, so action is equal to process login.jsp, method is equal to post. Then I'm creating a table, and I'm giving it a class login form. So all of these classes which we have used over here, all of these classes are present in our CSS file, okay, which is style.css, right? So I'm giving it a class login form, and then I'm creating a tr tag. Inside that I'm creating a td tag for username, and again a td tag for an input field for username, right? And similarly I'm doing it for password, again a label and an input field. And just note the names over here, because we are going to use these names while getting the values. Okay, and finally I'm having a submit button which says login. Okay, so this is our login form, right? So we'll continue this in the next tutorial. Thank you for watching. Hey everyone, welcome back. So now our login form is ready. Now let's look at process login.jsp. So here, first I'll get the values which the user will enter on the login form. So I'm saying string username is equal to request.getParameter username. Now this value should match with the name over here. And similarly, string password is equal to request.getParameter password. Now again, this value should match with the name over here, right? So this way we'll get the values which the user will enter on the login form. And then we'll make a check if login.isUserValid, and I'm passing an object of login info to it, populating it with the values which we got from the user. So this will basically check if the user is valid or not, okay, or if the user credentials are correct, right? So if the user is valid, then I'm setting an attribute of our session object. So session over here is a JSP implicit object, and it is readily available. So you don't have to create any object of it. It is readily available. So I'm just saying session.set attribute username. This is the name of the attribute, and this is the value. So it's basically a name value pair, right? So I'm setting an attribute over here on our session object, and then I'm saying session.set max inactive interval 30. So 30 over here is in seconds. So it means that if I stay inactive for 30 seconds, then the session will be automatically invalidated, right? So if I don't do anything on the screen for 30 seconds, then the session will be invalidated. And After that, I'm sending the user to home.jsp. Okay, so response.send redirect home.jsp. So this will take the user to home.jsp after a successful login, right? Else, if the user is not valid, then the user will be taken to login failed.jsp. Now let me show you what is inside login failed.jsp. So here I'm just printing a simple message, invalid user credentials, and then I'm having a simple hyperlink, try again, and on clicking that hyperlink, the user will be taken back to login.jsp, right? So yeah, that's it guys. And yeah, one more point which I wanted to make. So we don't want the user to access any page in the middle by using its URL. Okay, for example, if the user has not logged in, but he or she knows the URL of home.jsp, so we don't want the user to access that page directly without logging in. So we need to make a check on every page if the session attribute which we have set is null or not. If it is null, which means that the attribute is not set, and in that case the user will be taken back to login.jsp, right? So this is just for security purpose. Yeah, that's it. And I think one more file is missing over here, and that is logout.jsp. So we'll just look at logout.jsp. So in logout.jsp, I'm just saying session.invalidate. So this will invalidate the session, and I'll take the user back to login.jsp. Okay, so I think our login logout functionality is done. Now let's run this application and see how it works. I'll click on login.jsp, run as, run on server. Now again guys, this styling, this color and all, it's because of the style classes which we have used, and all of these style classes are inside this style.css file, right? Yeah. Now let's enter some wrong value first. Click on login, and yes, it is saying invalid user credentials. I'll click on try again, and now I'll enter the correct value. And yes, it has taken us to home.jsp. Now again guys, just ignore this part for now. We'll see how this menu and all is formed in the subsequent tutorials. But for now, just focus on the login logout functionality. So here is the logout button. Now I'll just click on it. And yes, it is working as expected. So that's it guys. We'll continue this in the next tutorial. Thank you for watching. Hey everyone, welcome back. So in the previous tutorial, we saw the login logout functionality, and now we're going to continue from there. So in this tutorial, we'll look at our header.jsp page. So this is the page which we're going to include in all of our main JSP pages. So we'll also look at how to include it in one of our JSP page, right? So let's get started. So let me open header.jsp. So here, as you can see, in the start, we are making a check if session.get attribute username is equal to null. So we're just checking if the session attribute which we have set is null or not. Okay, and if it is null, then we are sending the user back to login.jsp. So this is the same attribute which we are setting after successful login. Okay, so I'm just opening process login.jsp. So here you can see that if the user is valid, then we are setting an attribute username and we are passing the value over here. Okay, so if this attribute is not set, or if the session has expired or it has invalidated, then in both the cases this value will be null. Okay, and as a result we are going to send the user to login.jsp, right? So this is the check which we are making over here, and then we are having our navigation menu. So we have a nav tag. I've given it a class nav bar. Again, all of these classes are a part of style.css file, right? Then inside the nav, I am having a UL tag. Then I'm having 5 li tags, each representing a menu item, right? So these are the hyperlinks, and after clicking these labels, the user will be taken to the respective pages, right? And for logout, I have just added an extra styling to it so that it appears on the right side. Okay, I've given it a float right and margin 10px. Okay, so this is our header.jsp, and now we need to import or include this file in all of our JSP pages. Okay, so I'll just show you how to include it in home.jsp. So on home.jsp, we're just going to display a simple welcome message for the user, right? So first of all, we need to include this file. Okay, so for including, I have used JSP include directive over here. So this is the syntax of a JSP include directive. Include file is equal to, and here I'm specifying the file name. Now, if you remember, we have seen another way of including a file in our JSP page, and that was by using JSP:include. Okay, so let me show you the previous implementation. Okay, so this is what we have done in one of our previous tutorials. Okay, so basically both of them are doing the same job, that is include a file in our JSP. But the difference is JSP include directive, that is this one, it includes a file at a translation time. Okay, so if you look at the JSP lifecycle, then there is one phase which is called page translation phase, where the JSP page is translated or converted into a corresponding or equivalent servlet. So here the page is included at the translation time, whereas in this case the page is included at runtime. Okay, so that is the difference, right? So I'll just close this previous implementation. So this is what we are going to implement right now. Okay, so I've included the header.jsp file, and then I'm writing a statement over here which is string username is equal to, then I'm casting it to string session.get attribute username. Now this get attribute method, it returns object, okay, but we know that the attribute which we have set is of type string. Okay, so that's why I'm casting it to string, and then I'm just capturing its value, and now we're going to use this value in the welcome message. Okay, so here I've added a div tag, and I've aligned it to center, and then inside that I'm just printing a simple message, product management system, and then I'm using a label to display this message welcome, and inside a JSP expression I'm just printing the value of username. Okay, so yeah, that's it guys. Let's see how it runs, although we have seen that before, but we'll just look at it one more time. Okay, so I'll just right click on login, run as, run on server. Okay, after logging in, so this is the welcome message, welcome Abhay. So this is my username which we are displaying over here, and this is the main home page, right? So yeah, that's it guys. Thank you for watching. We'll continue this in the next tutorial. Hey everyone, welcome back. So in this tutorial, we'll look at our view products page, where we are going to display a list of all the products. Now before we go to the JSP page, let me show you the method which we are going to use from our product management DAO. So this is the method which we are going to use over here, and that is get all products. So this method returns us a list of all the products from the database. Okay, so we'll see how that works. So first I am creating an array list of products. Then I have written a try catch block, and inside the try block I'm writing the main logic. So first I'm creating a connection, then I'm creating a statement, then I'm creating a result set object where I'm passing the query which is select star from product. Now this is because we need to fetch a list of all the products from the database, right? And after getting the result set, we are going to iterate over that result set for constructing our product objects. Okay, so here I'm constructing the product object, and I'm populating it with the values from the database, right? So we have 4 columns in all: prod ID, prod name, prod category, and prod price, right? Now after constructing the product object, we are going to add that object to the product list which we have created over here, right? And after that, once all the products are added to the list, we are closing the connection, and at the end we are just returning that list. Okay, so this list will contain all the products from the database, right? So yeah, after that let's move on to our JSP page. which is viewproducts.jsp. So here the first thing which we need to do is include our header.jsp page. Okay, so we've seen how this works in the previous tutorial, right? So this is how we are going to include the header.jsp page. Then we are creating a table and I'm aligning it to center and I'm giving it a class product table. Now again, this class is a part of style.css. After that, I've created a header using the thead tag. Then inside that we have a tr and then 5 th tags, okay, each representing a column. Okay, so these are the header labels: product ID, product name, category, price, and the last column is of call span 2, and that is because it is going to cover 2 columns. So it says action. So these are basically going to be buttons. Okay, so we are going to show 2 buttons over here. One is edit and the other one is delete, right? So this is our header, and now we're going to look at the body. So first I'm going to create a list of products and we're going to get that list from the database. Okay, so this is the method which we just saw, right? Okay, so once we get the list of all the products from the database, we're going to run a for each loop. Okay, so this is a for each loop, and inside that we are creating a tr tag, and then we are going to have a td tags for displaying the data. So the first one is for product ID. Again, for displaying the value, we are going to use a JSP expression. Then we have product name, then product category, then product price. And the last 2 blocks or cells are for buttons. Okay, so these 2 will be buttons. The first one will be edit and the next one is delete. Now on clicking this button, let's consider the edit button first. On clicking the edit button, the user will be taken to edit products page. So this is the way we are going to take the user to edit products page. Location.href is equal to editproduct.jsp, right? And apart from this, we are also passing something over here. So this is our request parameter, and we are passing the product ID along with this. Okay, and the reason for sending the product ID is when the user will be taken to edit products page, we have to populate that page with the data of this particular product, and that's why we are going to need the product ID over there, and we are passing the product ID in the form of a request parameter, right? So on clicking edit, the user will be taken to edit products page, and we are going to pre-populate the form over there with the details for this particular product. Okay, and similarly we are doing it for delete. So even for delete, we are going to need the ID for deleting that particular product. Okay, and because of that, in this case also we are passing the prod ID along with it. Okay, the page over here is process delete product.jsp, right? So these are 2 of our buttons. One is for edit and the other one is for delete, right? Now again, it is having a class action button, which is part of style.css. So yeah, that's it guys. This was our viewproducts.jsp. Now let's run this and see how it looks. Alright, so I'll just click on view products, and yes, this is our product data table. So this is the data and these are the action buttons. Now let me also show you the database table, and yes, as you can see, the data is displaying properly. So that's it guys. Thank you for watching and see you in my next tutorial. Hey everyone, welcome back. So in this tutorial, we are going to look at the add product functionality. So first, let me show you the method which we are going to use from the product management DAO. So this is the method which we are going to use, that is add product. Now again, this method takes a parameter which is of type product, and it will return us an integer status. So inside the body, I'm first defining a status variable. Then under the try block, I'm creating a connection object. Then I'm creating a prepared statement object. So here I'm passing the query for inserting a product record into the database. Now again, this is a parameterized query, so I need to set the values for these parameters. and I'm setting the values for the parameters over here. So the first parameter is for product ID, the second one is for product name, then we have product category, and then product price. Now the sequence of these parameters follows the sequence of columns in our database table, right? Then I'm going to call ps.execute update. Now this method will return us the number of rows affected by this particular query. Okay, so in this case, if a record is successfully inserted, then this will return us 1, else it will return 0. And this status we are going to return from this method, right? So this will be our add product method. Now let's move on to our add product.jsp. So the first thing which I'm doing over here is including the header.jsp file. Then I'm creating a div tag and aligning it to center. And then I'm creating a form. And in the action, I've written process add product.jsp. Now we'll look at this file later. So the method over here is post, right? Now inside the form, I've created a table and I've given it a class product table, which is again a part of style.css, right? Then I've created a header. So this is the header which says product details. And then we are going to add or going to show input fields for adding the data. Okay, so we have different rows over here. So first one is for product ID. Okay, so we have a label product ID and then a corresponding input field. Similarly, I'm doing it for product name, again a label and an input field, then category and then price. So this is the form where the user will be able to enter data. Right? And finally, at the end, we are going to have a button which says add. And on clicking this button, the control will go to this particular page, process add product.jsp. So here we are just taking the values which the user has entered on the form. Okay, so we are taking all the values over here and then we are constructing a product object by using those values. And then we are calling the add product method and passing this product object to that method. Right? And at the end, we are going to get a status from it and we are using that status over here. So if status is equal to 1, then send the user to view products.jsp. So once a user has added a record, the user will be taken to view products.jsp where the user can see that newly added record. And if a record is not added, then we are just going to show error.jsp, right? So yeah, that's it guys. Now let's see how it runs. Now I think it's already started, so I'll just go to add product. Okay, so the session has expired. So I'll just log in again and go to add products. Now first let me see the list of products over here. So currently there are 4 products. Now we'll add a new product over here. Let's say P005. Product name would be test category, and price would be some random value. And I'll click on add. Now the user should be taken to view products, and yes, we can see the newly added record over here. So it is working as expected. So yeah, that's it guys. Thank you for watching and see you in my next tutorial. Hey everyone, welcome back. So in this tutorial, we are going to look at the edit product functionality. Now again, first let me show you the methods which we are going to use from the product management DAO. So in this case, we are going to use 2 methods. The first one is get product by ID and the other one is update product. Now let's look at get product by ID first. So this method takes one parameter, which is the product ID, and it will return us a product object based on this ID. Okay, so inside the body, I'm first declaring a product reference, and under the try block, I'm creating a connection. Then I'm creating a prepared statement where I'm passing the query, and the query is select star from product where prod ID is equal to question mark. So this query will return us information about a specific product, which will be based on this product ID. Okay, so I need to set the value for this question mark. So I'm setting it over here, ps.setString 1 product ID. So this is the same product ID which we are getting from this parameter. And after this, I'm creating a result set by saying result set rs is equal to ps.execute query. And yes, we can do something like this also. So instead of calling execute update over here, I can call execute query. And that is because we have a select statement over here, right? So this method will return a result set object, which we are capturing in a result set reference. Okay. And after that, I'm going to iterate over that result set and construct my product object. Now in this case, we are just going to get one record in the result set because there will be only one product with a specific product ID. Okay, so here we are constructing the product by using the values from the database, and then we are just returning that product. Okay, so this was our get product by ID method, and now let's look at the update product method. So this update product method is almost the same as your add product method. The only difference is in the query and the sequence of these parameters. So let's look at the query over here. So the query is a typical update query, which is update product set prod name is equal to question mark, prod category is equal to question mark, prod price is equal to question mark, where prod ID is equal to question mark. So again, this is because we are going to edit or update a specific product, right? So this is the query, and then we are going to set the values for these parameters. So for the first question mark, we have prod name. For the second one, we have prod category, and so on. So rest everything is pretty much the same. Okay, so this was our update product method. Now let's move on to our JSP page, which is edit product.jsp. Now again, here the first thing which I'm doing is including the header.jsp page, and after that I'm getting the value of this request parameter. So if you remember on the view products page where we are calling this edit product page, or we are redirecting the user to this edit product page, we are passing a prod ID. Okay, so if you look on the UI, when the user clicks on this edit, we are passing a prod ID along with it. So that we are going to capture on the next page, that is the edit product page. Okay, so first thing which I'm doing over here is capturing the product ID which we are getting from the request parameter. Okay, so I'm getting the product ID over here, and using this product ID, I'm going to construct our product object. So for that, I'm going to use the get product by ID method, which we just saw. So this will return us the product object based on this particular product ID. And after getting this product object, we are going to use this to pre-populate our form. Now first, let's look at our form. So here I'm starting a div tag and aligning it to center. Then again, I'm creating a form, and in the action I've written process edit product.jsp. Again, we'll look at this page later. So the method over here is post, and inside the form I've created a table, and then the table has a header which says product details. So this is exactly the same as our add product form, and over here we are going to display the values for each of these attributes. Okay, so the first one is product ID. So we have a label and then an input field. Now in this case, we are not going to set the input field as blank, but we are going to pre-populate it with the value. So I'm going to say value is equal to, in a JSP expression, I'm printing the value, which is product ID. So this is the ID which we got from view products page. Okay, and one more thing over here is I've written read only, and that is because we don't want the user to edit a product ID, because we are going to update this product based on the product ID. So this product ID field should not be editable, right? And that's why I've written read only over here. So this was our product ID field, and then we have product name. So I've done the similar thing over here. We have a label and then an input field where we are printing the value in this manner, right? Then similarly, we are doing it for category and then price. And finally, we are having a button which says save. And on clicking this button, the control will go to process edit product.jsp. Now let's look at this page. Okay, so here again, we are first getting all the values which the user will enter. And then we are using those values to construct our product object. And after that, I'm going to just pass this product object to our update product method. Okay, and after that, this method will return us a status which we are going to use to redirect the user to different pages. So if the status is 1, which means if the record is successfully updated, then we are going to send the user to viewproducts.jsp, else the user will be sent to error.jsp. Now let's look at the overall flow one more time. So on the view products page, when the user clicks on edit, we are sending the user to edit_product.jsp, and at the same time we are passing the product ID in the form of query parameter or request parameter. And then on the edit product page, we are first getting the product ID from the request parameter and then using this product ID for constructing our product object by fetching the details from the database. And then we are going to pre-populate this form by using the values from this product object. Okay. Now just one point which I wanted to clarify. So here instead of product ID, you can also write product.getProductID because the value is going to be same. Okay. And after that, we are going to have a save button over here, and on clicking the save button, the control will go to process edit product.jsp, and here we are just updating the product by calling the update product method from the product management DAO. So this will update the details in the database, right? So I think our programming is done. Now let's run this program and see how it works. So I'll just go over here and click on edit. And again, I think the session must have expired. So we'll log in again. Okay, view products, and we'll edit the last product over here. So I'll just click on edit. And as you can see, all the details are pre-populated and the first field is non-editable. Okay, so I'll just change the values of the remaining three fields. So I'll just make it 1 1 1 1 and 1 1. Now before we click save, let me show you the database table. Okay, so these are the current values. Now let's click on save, and yes, the values are updated in the table over here. Now let's verify it in the database, and yes, they are also updated in the database. So it's working perfectly fine. So yeah, that's it guys. Thank you for watching and see you in my next tutorial. Hi everyone, welcome back. So now we'll look at the delete product functionality. So for that, we have a method called delete product in the product management DAO. So this method takes one parameter, which is the product ID itself, and it will return us an integer status. Now again, internally, this method is almost the same as our add product and update product methods. And the only main difference will be in the query. So the query over here says delete from product where prod ID is equal to question mark. So this query is going to delete any one particular product from the database, right? So this is our delete product method. Now let's go to viewproducts.jsp. So in this case, the user is not going to see any intermediate page like edit product.jsp. So when the user clicks on delete, we're just going to take the control to process delete product.jsp. And we are also going to send the product ID in the form of query parameter. So now let's look at this page, that is process delete product.jsp. So on this page, we are first taking the product ID from the request parameter, and then we are passing that product ID to our delete product method for deleting that record. And after that, we are going to get a status, which we are going to use to redirect the user. So if the status is 1, which means if the record is successfully deleted, we are going to take the user to viewproducts.jsp, else the user will be taken to error.jsp, right? So I think it's done. Now let's run this. So I'll log out and re-log in. Okay, and I think we'll delete the last record. Okay, I'll fire the select query in the database. So currently we can see this record over here, and I'll click on delete. Now after clicking delete, we'll see the same page, which is view products, right? And yes, the record is gone. Now let's verify it in the database. And yes, from the database also it has gone. So it's working fine. So yeah, that's it guys. Thank you for watching and see you in my next tutorial. Hey everyone, welcome back. So in this tutorial, we are going to look at the search product functionality. Now in case of search product, we just have one page, and that is searchproduct.jsp, and everything is inside it, right? So let's get started. Now the first thing which I've done over here is include the header.jsp page as usual, and then I've created the search field. Now let me show you this on the UI. So I'll just log in and click on search product. So this is the search field which I'm talking about. And internally it is a form inside a div tag. So inside this form, we have a label which says enter product ID, and then we have an input field which will allow the user to enter a product ID. And finally, we have a search button. So in this case, the user will enter some product ID over here and click on search, and then this form will be submitted. Now in the action, we have written the same page, which is search_product.jsp. And that is because we don't want the user to navigate to some other page after clicking search. We just want the user to stay on the same page, right? So this is our search field. And after that, we have a table. Now the format of this table is the same format which we have seen on our view products page. Okay. So we have a header over here, and then we have the body. Now over here, we are getting the product ID from the request parameter. So this is the same product ID which the user will enter in this text field, right? So as you can see, the name over here is product ID, and we are accessing the same value over here. Okay. So after getting the product ID, we are making a check if product ID is not equal to null. Now sometimes it may happen that the user may just click on search without entering anything over here. And in that case, we will get null as the product ID. And that's why we are making a check. If product ID is not equal to null, then do this. Else, we are going to show a message on the screen which says no record to display. Okay. Now let's go inside the if block. So inside the if, we are first constructing the product object. So for constructing it, we are saying product P is equal to product management DAO dot get product by ID, and inside that we are passing this product ID. So we've already seen this method, right? Now this method will get us the product object. Now after that, sometimes it may also happen that the product ID which the user has entered, it may not be a valid product ID. Okay, so it may not match with any record in the database. So in that case, we'll get P as null. And that's why we need to make one more check over here. If P not equal to null, then show the data. Else, we are again going to show the same message, which is no record to display. Okay. So for showing the data, this is just a copy paste of what we have seen on our view products page. Okay. Nothing different, right? Yeah. So there are two cases, right? If the data is empty, we are going to show the same message, which is no record to display. And if the record is the data is invalid, it means that the product ID is invalid, then again we are going to show the same message. Okay. So yeah, that's it guys. Let's run this and see how it works. I'll log in again and click on search product. Now let's click search over here, and yes, it is showing no records to display. In the query parameter, you can see product ID is equal to empty. Okay. Now let's enter some random value and click on search. Again, no record to display. And in the query parameter, you can see the value. And now let's enter a valid product ID. Let's say P003 and click on search. And yes, it has displayed the record properly. And from here, you can also click on edit, click on save. And yeah, after saving, it has taken us to view products page. Let's search again, P004, let's say. And you can also delete it from here. Okay, so I think our program is working fine. So yeah, that's it guys. Thank you for watching, and see you in my next tutorial. Hey everyone, welcome back. So in this tutorial, we'll run this application again to test all the functionalities. Now before we start, just wanted to mention one more change which I've made in processlogin.jsp. So I've increased the max inactive interval to 200, and that is because the session just keeps on expiring frequently. Okay, so yeah, that change is done. Now let's test this application. So this is the login page. Now first I'll just enter some wrong value and click on login, and it is showing us invalid user credentials. Now I'll just click on try again and enter the correct values. And yes, it has taken us to the home page. And here we are seeing this message, welcome Abhay. So Abhay over here is my username. Okay. Now let's click on view products. So at present, we can see 4 records in this table. Let's also verify this in the database. Okay, yes, we have 4 records. Now let's edit this record. Okay, I'll just change the price to, let's say, 100 and change the text also and click on save. And yes, it has updated the record over here. Now let's verify it in the database. And yes, in the database also the record is updated. Okay, so it's working fine. Now I'll just delete this record. Let's check it in the database. It is gone from the database as well, right? So edit and delete are working fine. Now let's add some product. Let's say P005, product name, some random value, and click on add. And yes, we can see the record over here. And again, let's verify in the database. Yes, it has updated or inserted the record successfully. Okay, so add, update, and delete is working fine. Now let's test the search functionality. So first I'll just click on search without entering anything over here, and it is showing no record to display. Now let's enter some wrong value and click on search. Again, no record to display. Now let's enter some valid product ID. Let's say P003. And yes, it has displayed the record properly. Now I'll just edit the record from here. Let's change some text and click on save. And yes, the record is updated properly. Now I think we need to test our session as well. So what I'll do is I'll just log out from here and I'll copy this URL. Okay, I'll log out, and now I'll try to access the application by using this URL. Now since I've logged out, the session has been invalidated, and now the user should not be able to access this page. Okay, now let's click it, and yes, it has taken us back to the login page, right? So I think guys, our program is working fine. So yeah, that's it for now. Thank you for watching.